In this part, we are going to be creating the actual tile and starting to make some global variables in the actual CS code. All right, so let's get started. So first off, we need to add a folder. Okay, so we're going to name this models. Okay, and then we're going to add a class right here. Class, we'll name it tile. All right, we're going to go into the tile and let's get started. Let's create a space here. So we're going to do some props. If you don't know, Visual Studio has a shortcut where you type in prop, you click tab, and it'll create the property for you. You could do property fulls, you could do property anonymouses and all that stuff, but we're just going to do props, or just props. They're automatic, they're good. So let's create some bools. Okay, and you can tab through this as many times as you want to create different types, value types, and names. Okay, so you press enter, go out of that, prop, bool, and I'll explain what these do in a second. I'm just going to get them typed out real quick. Most of these are bools, by the way. And I might spell that one wrong, because that one's hard to spell. So let's just make sure we spelled that right. Okay, we're good. Okay, so here's when we actually start getting some more important stuff. For now, at least. This is more important because you need to actually know what row it is in and what column it is in. Okay, so we're going to separate these with just some spaces here. And then we also need a list of tiles, of tile. So the type is tile, and then surroundings. You could call this neighbors, you could call this surroundings, doesn't really matter. And then we also need a method. So this is a very simple method that you could write in one line. So this is our actual number value. This is how we get the mines around the actual tile. You can do this here. You can do it in the main thing. It doesn't really matter. This is where I like to put it because it's part of the tile and it makes it much cleaner. So let's create a constructor. ctor tab, and then we'll do int row, if I can type, int column. And then we'll do surroundings equal new list tile. And then row equals row. Column equals column. Okay, so let me put an actual set of parentheses here. Okay, so let me explain this. So is mine is kind of self-explanatory. If it is a mine, it equals true. So we can say if true, it is a mine. Okay. If you don't know, / is actual comments. They don't get put into the code. They don't get compiled. They are your comments. They help people understand your code, and you understand your code if it's been a while. Okay. So if it is clicked, so if it is under the tapped event handle, this equals true. So if clicked equals, we'll do this. has been clicked. This sounds better. If true, it has been clicked. Okay. If true, it has been flagged. So kind of the scheme here is if it's true, it is that thing. So same thing for here, we can just copy and paste this. And while this is kind of just a little bit ambiguous, and it has a little bit of ambiguity to it, I think you guys can get the gist, hopefully. Okay, so so this is where the tile lays in the actual grid. So your X and your Y, or your column and your row. And for the first instance, the very easy mode is, let me think. The easy mode is 9 by 9. So you have 0 through 8 for your rows and 0 through 8 through your columns. And that's that. So you do need to know where your columns are. I guess you could technically do this without rows and columns, but it would be much harder and kind of just a waste of time. So a list of 8 tiles around the center tile. Okay, that is what that is. And then we'll do this. That's what that does. Checks for mines in the surrounding 8 tiles. All right, let me get a drink here. Okay. So that's the actual tile class. All right, so let's, so we're about 7 minutes in. All right, so let's set up some variables in the actual code here. So we're in the code behind. First thing I always like to do, since I barely use this method, you could copy and paste this. Doesn't really matter. You just do this. Creates a one method. Simple. Gets some lines out of the way. It's nice. It works. Trust me. All right, so let's create some methods. Or not some methods. Public variables, global variables. All right, so we can do these all as private. Doesn't really matter. Private list tile, not tile brush, because we actually need to put a using in here. I forgot about that. Let's just do Alt Enter. It'll give us this, and we put it in here. So up top we have the using Minesweeper underscore tutorial models, which is the name of this project, by the way, which is where our tile actually is. So let's do equals. Let me check. I don't want to do anything wrong here, so. Okay, yeah, that's what I was doing. So we're going to just call this tile array. Actually, let's name this tile list, because that's actually a list, not an array. And we don't have anything to populate this array, but we will. We'll also have a button array. I just found this easier. So button list equals new list button. And I accidentally put tile here, so let me fix that. Button. And then let's get our colors out of the way. So it is easier to do, just some solid color brushes up here so you don't have to worry about them down the line. So we're going to call this L gray, which is light gray, equals new solid color brush, colors dot light gray. And it is spelled with an A, not an E. And I'll have to fix this because autofill is not on my side. And using Windows UI. There we go. Okay, and then we'll do another one. And this time it's going to be called slate gray, I believe. Yes. And then we'll do LS gray. You know what? Let's do this so we can make it a little bit more form factor. We'll also do just a few ints here. So private int rows, which is our row count, private int columns, and then mine private int mine total, because nothing else should be touching these. We can all set these to 0 if we really wanted to, but we won't do that. We're also going to do just a little bit more, and then we're going to end this part. So private, actually, let's see. Yeah, we can do this as private string game state, which is going to be blank for now. Private bool game on, which is telling if the game is actually still active. So we could call this actually game active. And let's actually set this to true. Okay. So we have some groundwork here. There's not a lot of stuff here just yet. So let's go back over here there. So let's save this real quick. So we have our tile class created, which is actually completely done. You don't need to do anything else with this class. This class is 100% foolproof. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do a public bool is mine flagged, which could take away some of the hassle, but I'm not going to do that. I like the way I do it here, so we're gonna go with that. And then we came to the main page, and we created 2 lists, one for buttons and one for tiles. And then we created 2 solid color brushes. You could add a third for your mine color. So for example, if I wanted to do a black, I could do that because I'm going to color my mines black. So why don't we do that? Let's create a third one and not have to worry about creating anything else. No, we don't really use this method more than once. It is kind of redundant to actually have this here, but you know what? For the sake of this, we're going to do that. But all right, so we're going to end part 2, and in the next episode, we're probably going to start just diving right into the actual code. And yeah, I'll see you in the next part.